Deep in the shadows of the dark web, I found something I wasn't ready for. A live broadcast of pure evil, where strangers decided how a victim would suffer. What I saw that night wasn't just terrifying, it was inhuman. This is the horrifying truth about red rooms. I've always been drawn to the darker corners of human existence. As a journalist, I've spent years chasing stories that most people wouldn't dare to touch. Stories that take you to the edges of what we call civilized. I've seen some dark things, but nothing ever prepared me for this. It started as part of a fluff assignment. My editor wanted a piece on urban legends and internet myths. Slender man, black-eyed kids, the usual. I almost turned it down. Those stories felt played out, and I wasn't exactly in the mood for a cheap Halloween special. But then he mentioned the Red Rooms. If you haven't heard of them, consider yourself lucky. The legend goes like this. Somewhere on the dark web, you can find a live stream of torture. People are kidnapped, tied up, and brutalized in front of an audience that pays to watch. The viewers don't just observe, they control it. They can tip to suggest actions or vote on the next horrific act. It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, right? That's what I thought too. A hoax, a myth, something to scare curious teens away from the dark web. Experts have always dismissed it. The bandwidth required for live streaming such content on the dark web makes it nearly impossible, and no concrete evidence has ever surfaced. But as I started digging, I realized how much people believed in it. In forums, chat rooms, and anonymous message boards, the whispers were everywhere. It wasn't just some fringe myth. The more I read, the more obsessed I became. I needed to know if it was real. At first, it was dead ends and rabbit holes. The dark web isn't some place you can just wander into. You need the right tools, the right links, and a stomach for things most people can't unsee. Weeks passed, and I was ready to call it quits. But then, one night, I stumbled upon a forum thread that changed everything. Midnight show tonight. Only the serious need apply. The post was brief, almost taunting. It included a link and a warning. Don't come if you're not ready for what you'll see. I hesitated. Clicking links like that is a surefire way to get hacked, tracked, or worse. But my curiosity won out. The screen that loaded was bare, a countdown timer ticking down from 30 minutes, a chat room buzzing with activity, and nothing else. I stared at the screen, torn. It felt wrong. Like I was standing at the edge of a precipice, looking down at something I wasn't meant to see. I could feel the blood rushing in my ears, my heartbeat picking up as the timer ticked closer to zero. The chat was alive with excitement. This one's gonna be brutal. Hope you brought popcorn. First timers, strap in. You're not ready. I told myself it had to be fake. An elaborate scare tactic, maybe a setup for some kind of phishing scam. But I stayed. When the timer hit zero, the screen went black for a moment. Then, a video feed flickered on. The room was dimly lit, the walls bare concrete stained with dark streaks. A metal chair sat in the center, bolted to the floor. My stomach dropped when I saw the man tied to it. His head was slumped forward, his wrists and ankles bound with zip ties. He was blindfolded, his mouth covered with duct tape. The chat exploded. Look at him squirm! Start with the hands! Burn him! I wanted to believe it was staged. The lighting, the setup, it could have been a sick prank, but the man's trembling was real. His muffled sobs were unmistakable, and then they stepped into frame. 3 figures, all wearing grotesque animal masks, a pig, a rabbit, and a fox. They moved slowly, deliberately, like they knew how much their presence alone could terrify. The pig approached a table against the wall, covered in tools. A hammer, a blowtorch, a set of knives. My breath caught in my throat. The pig picked up a knife, turning it over in their hands as if weighing its worth. The chat was rabid now. Cut him. Make him scream. Don't kill him too fast. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My rational mind screamed that it wasn't real, that it couldn't be. But every detail, the man's ragged breathing, the glint of the knife, the stains on the floor, told me otherwise. The pig walked to the man and made the first cut. The scream that followed was the kind that burrows into your soul. Even muffled by the gag, it was raw and primal. I snapped out of my paralysis and scrambled to record my screen. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my laptop. As I recorded, I glanced at the corner of the screen. A counter was ticking upward. People were paying for this. I picked up my phone and dialed 911, my voice trembling as I tried to explain what I was seeing. The dispatcher sounded confused, unsure of how to handle a report about a live-streamed atrocity on the dark web. "We'll alert the cybercrime unit," they said, but it felt like an empty promise. Back on the screen, the masked figures were taking directions from the chat. One user suggested breaking the man's fingers. Another tipped extra for the blowtorch. The pig and the rabbit switched places, the rabbit taking up a hammer while the fox restrained the victim. Couldn't take it anymore. I closed the laptop and collapsed into my chair, shaking uncontrollably. The feed was gone by the time I reopened the browser. The site had vanished, leaving no trace behind. I handed everything I had to the authorities: screenshots, video recordings, timestamps. They promised to investigate but called the footage inconclusive. They said it was probably staged, a scam designed to exploit morbid curiosity. But I know what I saw. The terror in that man's screams wasn't fake. The blood wasn't staged. For weeks I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the chair, the tools, the masks. I scoured the forums, hoping for some clue about what had happened to the victim. But there was nothing. The Red Room was gone, like it had never existed. To this day, I don't know if what I witnessed was real. But even if it was a hoax, it revealed something far darker. The Red Rooms might not exist in the way the legend describes, but the people in that chat, the ones paying, cheering, directing, they're real. They're out there. And the thought of what they're capable of keeps me awake at night. Because even if the Red Room was a myth, I know one thing for sure. Somewhere, someone is making it a reality. And worse, there's an audience waiting to watch.